Good on you, cousin. You found the Gorgon Posse podcast of Medusa Rising, World Building Women. I am Esmée Streachailt, founder and editor of this joint, where the team and I have huge ambitions. So we create and publish slowly and thoughtfully. We seek to deepen support and coalition among feminists globally and to publish new writing and art by women everywhere on Gaia's thrumming earth. We believe that thriving movements draw on grassroots work, on spiritual traditions, on mutual aid networks, on personal growth, and on theory. We are here with you in all of that becoming because patriarchy is an interlocking social, psychological, legal, economic, and cultural system that supports male supremacy. It was born in the commodification and rape of women and the murder of non-compliant women and most of their men. And now it is reasserting its drive to dominance in both far-right and far-left political and cultural movements. It has existed in remarkably consistent forms for 5,000 years. Medusa Rising means for this millennium to be its last. To share your work or to tell us about a great feminist organization and maybe subscribe to our newsletter, click on over to medusarising.org. Meanwhile, tend to yourselves, stay witchy, and be good to each other. Hello, my dear cousins. This is Esmée Streachailt. I am reading the hard part of Coalition and FiLiA2025 in Brighton for Medusa Rising. Most feminist coalitions in the U.S. have collapsed. That's just facts. And coalitions between feminists and other political groups, as groups, also usually collapse. The latter because the other group smacks up against our goal of shifting male supremacy to sex egalitarianism and balks pretty hard, and the former because women, like most humans, have a hard time holding more than one axis of oppression in their work. Shifting off of male supremacy is clearly not a goal of third-wave liberal or inclusive feminism. It's also not even imaginable to reactionary, conservative, or post-feminism, whatever the fuck those are besides compliance. No need to rehash that here. Holding only one axis of oppression, or two in your analysis, usually means, just sort of mechanically, that a feminism is going to limit its explanatory and interventionist power. It's going to behave in ways that echo patriarchal patterns that are classist, racist, sexist, and colonialist. It's a fact. It's just how this seems to happen. Patriarchy expresses itself in class and race and sex as gender and extraction and colonialism and so on and so on and so on. These are the same problem. Some partial allegiance to the existing world that forbids us both solidarity and success. It's the problem that led the second wave women leaving the New Left in the 1960s, and that led mostly African-American women to split up with white-dominated organizations in the women's movement. We literally have to learn to make room for perspective if we hope to go forward. These are actual features. These were featured topics. These got center stage at FiLiA 2025. Our fractiousness and how harmful it is was a big theme of my conversation with Pragma Patel in the run-up to the conference. So it was almost like a message direct from her when all the mess kicked off. This moment is a test. And I don't think passing it means tolerating women's horizontal violence, whether it's personal or political. I don't think it means tolerating women's policing. I don't think passing it means we all have to move together in harmony. FiLiA 2025 felt like a perfect symbol of the position of feminisms now, attacked by bashback and protested by TRAs at the beginning and then infiltrated and sabotaged by far-right aligned women near the end. Right down to getting physical with my friend Jane Claire Jones, who was previously singled out by such women for a long campaign of abuse meant to silence her. Young women were, again, told they're doing feminism wrong. Young women of color were, again, told that many women in the global north will not support the anti-colonialist elements of their work. Some of you have learned nothing in the last 40 years, and it shows. Both TRAs and far-right women looked at FiLiA's organizers, all exhausted and still rowing, and saw a target. Some folks can't and should not work together ever. Medusa Rising will forever, never ever work with women, NGOs, grassroots organizations, think tanks, political groups, or parties that support authoritarian, colonialist, far-right, xenophobic, genocidal, or ecologically destructive ideas, policies, or actions. I know that leaves the field pretty narrow. Autonomous women's movement is a thing we need to build. Those are the methods of the very system that ends the lives of 5 million women every year, according to the UN, and irrevocably damages the lives of hundreds of millions more. MAGA, Likud, Hamas, Reform, Fidesz, United Russia, Dominionism, the Dark Enlightenment, all of these offer less than nothing to women while they demand our compliance, obedience, and servility. But MAGA is not the U.S. Likud is not Israel. Hamas is not Palestine. Reform is not the UK. Dominionism and Islam and Zionist Judaism are not the whole of spiritual knowing or practice. And the Dark Enlightenment is just another colonizer we will probably have to fight hand in hand, hand to hand, by the time this is all over. Women owe these ideologies and these men not one thing. FiLiA tries to do a very hard thing in the world. It tries to be a big tent feminist conference. It does lots of absolutely essential work outside of the conference and internationally. It's not perfect and it's not always pretty, but it is necessary to our strength as a movement that we have a place to gather and exchange views and knowledge, not just sit amongst each other reinforcing our own current condition. When we do that, over a problem or a harm as intense and as depraved as the violence of October 10th and the obscene violence of Israel's response, which is doubling as Netanyahu's get-out-of-jail-free card. Just by the way, we are all bringing tremendous emotional energy to the conversation, naturally, especially those of us close to such a conflict. Which is why it is fucking well incumbent on us to maintain our comportment, to leave room for each other, to stick to our feminist commitment to the both and of complexity, and never, ever, not ever make any of these moves. Never reframe an issue for sympathy and in its simplest, least representative form. Rape is not resistance. Well, no kidding. TERFs don't actually want to kill trans people either. Never demand that all women make room for our politics and agree with us on every single dimension. It is an impossibility. Never make one group responsible for the politics of another group they work with on a shared issue that may benefit all kinds of women. Let strength grow where it possibly can. Never go gunning for an organization or a woman in acts of sabotage for careerist advantage or in service of some male-dominated political project. I mean, that should be obvious. This is erasure of our sisters. It is cowardice. It is lefty bro and TRA behavior. It's authoritarian. It's its own mode of colonization. It's single-issue, one-axis thinking, and it sucks. Coming together to have the conversation is hard. I bet most of the women who went at Total Woman Victory's team online were not ready for young women fully educated in their feminist lineage and down to brawl with confidence. There are a lot of Marxist feminists on the planet. You're maybe not aware of them, but they exist. I admired the way they practiced, unknowingly, one of the Gorgon's maxims. We don't pick fights, but we do win them. Listen, in this historical moment, it's all against the fash, no matter what flag they fly. I was more eager for FiLiA this time than previously. It's why it hurts watching what happened. You know, I got to rep Medusa Rising for the first time. I met women I needed to meet and women I didn't yet know I needed to meet. I feel like some very powerful flows are coming into sync now. But I will say to the Zionist women in Britain that you are, as TWV charged, completely out of step with the majority of the world's feminists. Your parochialism, like that of most U.S. feminist organizations, is both deeply limiting and terribly dangerous. Most of the world's feminists have a deep political analysis and tungsten-level principles. They are radical in both their views of our problems, our axes of oppression, and in their vision of our solutions. They lean far more anarchist and Marxist than do most women and feminists in the global north, because they live in the consequences of our nation's rapacious, extractive, colonizing capitalist and bottomless hunger for other people's resources and labor. When they speak, they are speaking from their lives. Audre Lorde, Pragna Patel, Arundhati Roy, Silvia Federici, Chiamanga Ngozi Adichie, Banda Shiva, the Zapatistas, Veronica Gagao, Prachi Patanka, the Lions of Rojava, the Green Revolution, the Southall Black Sisters. None of these do or would or did ever be willing to ally with Zionist reformers or MAGA. Even run-of-the-mill liberal capitalists are pretty suspicious as far as they're concerned. All of those are the problem. These, like the Rad Femmes and Rad Mat Femmes, would find the GCs politically and functionally hopeless and debilitating. The trans issue is not the only issue, but it is the only issue that lets them ally with the likes of Nigel Farage and Charlie Kirk. Total Woman Victory is doing us global North feminists the most valuable service, for free. They are bringing us the voices, experience, and perspective of our feminist sisters from everywhere else. And we need this. We have been out of touch with each other for far, far, far too long. That disconnection has been both a plan and a happy second-order effect of what we all call structural oppression. As I have argued from the beginning of this project, we need smarter and more effective theories of coalition and a much deeper commitment to women among feminists in the global North. As I said on Twitter this past week, in the fallout from what happened at FiLiA, working for women means using the world we have in a zigzag, in a swerve and weave kind of way, so we avoid easy capture by men's projects. Max Dashew has long argued that we need a revitalized, autonomous women's liberation movement, and she's right about that. An OG feminist and historian of women's deep time, her support of Total Woman Victory and their goals should tell you all something. And if you don't like that something, please, will you just fuck off and go do your work? Be amazing somewhere else for the women you care for. I don't say this because I do not grieve the rapes and the massacre of October 10th. My stomach dropped in terror when I saw the broken and bleeding bodies of those women. I say this because the critique of colonialism is also a form of grief for the broken and bleeding bodies of women all over the world. If we cannot hear that in each other's voices, we are lost. Like MAGA and Trump, reactionary feminist words and violence increase dramatically in amplitude, but the interest chart is as flat as West Texas. Like Trump, so many of them are both scary and terribly boring. I hope we stop letting them drain our enemy. Sorry, I hope we stop letting them drain our energy, our anima. The atrocities we see now in Gaza done to Palestinians by Israel or by Hamas to Israelis have been committed more than once by every single army of every single patriarchal nation ever to exist on this earth. We are all condemned in our patriarchal histories. And the fight at the Feminist Disco, the fallout, the opportunistic sniper actions from far-right aligned women all show us that we have reached an exciting and revolutionary moment in women's liberation movement. We see with perfect clarity now which women want to build a world where women thrive and which do not. We see with perfect clarity now which women want to work across differences of race, class, sexuality, ethnicity, nation, region, for women, which do not. We see with perfect clarity now that there is a breathing future waiting for us if we have the pith, moxie, and discipline to create it. Block, mute, forget. Give them nothing. Disengage from these internet spats, I say. They waste time and energy. They drain focus and effort. They only feed that beast whose maw chews our acumen and hope, swallows them in discord, and whose ass shits war. We have visions. We know our assignment. Let us be about that. A real and effective, a robust global feminist and matriarchal coalition requires personal emotional maturity, containment that gives others space to be and grow as they will, and women from everywhere. A strategic intersectionality focuses on the intersections of issues where different kinds of women can and should work together to deepen power and increase effect. No one woman or group or organization can be deeply grounded in all feminist lineages or totally focused on all possible issues. It can't be totally grounded in all the details of all local expressions of global patriarchy. We cannot live each other's lived experience, but we can bring insights from these to the table and take a deep breath, because a true intersectionality of practice needs different women to come together for a big, clear, robust goal, not for money, not for fame, not for ego and worship, not for control over other women in the movement, not for political sway, not for power, for a goal. A goal that we choose to serve using our differences of experience and analysis as powers, as enhancements of the work toward the goal some group of women choose to take on. What is that goal? Remind yourselves, what is it? No one lineage will get us all free. But parts of all of them combined in sharp and responsive and improvisational ways. As we clear a way through to the other world we can all hear breathing in our dreams, that just might get us free.
Thank you, sisters, listeners, for the gift of your attention. We know your life energy is precious. So is ours. We make this podcast for free, so you can pay us by telling your feminist friends about it. Like it, share it, recommend this RadMat Fem conversation everywhere that you're listening to us. Because manipulating the algorithm is a postmodern form of magic, and we need to make that system feminist. Tend to yourselves, stay witchy, and build worlds for women over at medusarising.org. I'll see you soon.